God Against the Gods was my attempt to try to explain a little bit of what I just said and to show how this isn't just me making this stuff up, trying to justify it. It's actually in the Bible. God himself does it in the Bible. And one of my favorite examples is Leviathan. So I write a lot about Leviathan because now there are Christians who believe Leviathan is just a dinosaur. No, it's not. If you study Leviathan in its ancient context and throughout the whole Bible, and you see how all the cultures around them also had a Leviathan in them, which is a sea dragon of chaos. And you read this when you read the passages in the Bible, you see very clearly that the writers are using Leviathan as a metaphor or as a symbol. That's the best way to use it, as a symbol of chaos. Why? Because in that ancient world of Hebrews, they understood the sea. The sea was mysterious, right? They couldn't plumb the sea depths like we can. And even we can, but it's still mysterious. It's beyond us, right? The depths of the sea. So that sea for them was also wild and untamable, and it represented chaos. So they would use the sea as chaos, and the sea dragon of chaos became that ultimate symbol that the chaos that fights against us in our real world. So much so that all the religions, including Israel's religion, would describe stories of their storm god conquering the sea dragon, or conquering the rivers and the seas, but also conquering the sea dragon. As a matter of fact, the Canaanite religion called their sea dragon Leviathan. So, and Leviathan had multiple heads. If you read in Psalm 73, it talks about God crushing the heads of Leviathan. That's plural. Heads, plural, of a singular Leviathan, which means it had multiple heads. So it was a common notion of this symbol that represented chaos. And in Psalm 73 and other places in the Bible where it talks about Leviathan, like Psalm 73 particularly is talking about, in fact, maybe I can even go there because since we have the time, it's kind of one of my favorite Psalms and one of my favorite images, So he's talking about, oh, I'm sorry, not Psalm 73. I've been wrong this whole time. Terrible. Psalm 74. Scratch all that. Psalm 74. Yeah, Psalm 74. So he's talking about the covenant nature of God. And he goes in verse 12, yet God, my King, is from of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. And he says this, he's talking to God. You divided the sea by your might. That's a reference to the Red Sea, as we'll see in a minute. You broke the heads of the sea monsters on the waters. You crushed the heads, plural, of Leviathan. So it's not just heads on multiple monsters. It's multiple heads on one monster too. You gave him as food for the creatures of the wilderness. You split open the brooks, dried the streams. Yours is the day, yours is the night. You established the heavenly lights and the sun. You fixed the boundaries of the earth. You made summer and winter. There is, let's see here if I can get this down here. There's another Psalm. I think it's it's Isaiah 51. So this Psalm that I was reading, dividing the sea by your might, scholars will tell you that's an oblique reference to the parting of the Red Sea. So he's saying when you part the Red Sea, you broke the heads of the sea monsters. Well, what does that mean? And you gave them as food to the creatures of the wilderness. What does that mean? The motif of eating the body of Leviathan was a common concept of their God, destroys the chaos or pushes back the chaos to create his own covenanted order. And what is the Red Sea Exodus? What did it lead to? Sinai. What is that? The covenant. God establishes his covenant order by pushing back the chaos of the Egyptian world that they had come from, right? And the chaos, and creating his covenant order on Sinai. And this is further confirmed in Isaiah 51, where it's using the same kind of language to describe it's actually kind of describing it's using creation language to describe creation of the covenant. So he says in Isaiah 51:15, I am the Lord your God who stirs up the sea so its waves roar. I have put my words in your mouth. He's talking to Moses here. I put my words in your mouth and covered you in the shadow of my hand, establishing the heavens and laying the foundations of the earth, saying to Zion, you are my people. So what was that? He's using creation language to describe creating heavens and the earth. He's talking to Moses, and he's talking about the Red Sea, parting of the Red Sea, as a way of creating the heavens and the earth. Well, creation of the heavens and the earth is a symbol of covenant. It's the way he describes his covenant. It's the way they look at the cosmos. And so God establishes the foundations of the earth when he establishes his covenant with Moses at Sinai. And lo and behold, just a few verses before it, in verse 9, we read about him piercing the dragon, drying up the sea, the waters of the great deep. That's the Red Sea thing, right? You cut Rahab in pieces. Rahab is another word used synonymously with Leviathan, the sea dragon. So this is just one example of what I'm doing in that book, God Against the Gods, where this is a pagan symbol that was used long before the Bible was written. There's a sea dragon of chaos in Egypt, sea dragon of chaos in Canaan, in Babylon. There was Marduk fighting Tiamat, the sea dragon. He creates the heavens and earth by splitting the sea dragon in half. So it's a common motif amongst all religions. They use it symbolically to describe their God establishing his covenanted order by pushing back the chaos of the world around them. And in a way, that's, the wilderness of Israel, of Israel in the wilderness, that was their chaos as well. But then on Mount Sinai, God establishes his covenanted order. So that's one example of many examples in the Bible where I show that that's a common pagan image, that it's a symbol that can be used for any purposes, right? And it's like he's saying, you think your God, crushed the sea dragon and created the universe, but no, our God Yahweh is the one who crushed the sea dragon, created his covenanted order with Israel. And so it's just a means of doing that, right? And so that's one example of how God redeems pagan imagination. Let me put it this way. How else would God communicate, as the notion of inspiration says, that God uses the people within their own time periods and their own thought processes to communicate his truths? They can't understand the modern people think. They're not going to write for they're going to write the way they see it. And the common cognitive environment, the common motifs, symbols, images that everybody used in those days to describe their own beliefs, the Hebrews were part of that too. And they used it to describe their beliefs.